Hello, everyone. Today I want to go over a brief idea of characterization, and this is the second one. We talked about foil character way before the first week of spring break. Now I want to talk briefly about the STEAL method, right, which is another form of characterization. You might have heard this before with either explicit or implicit characterization, direct or indirect characterization. It's the same concept. So again, characterization is the process by which the writer reveals, the personality of the character, right? So now what we do is we could use two different methods: direct, explicit, or indirect, implicit. Direct tells the audience what the personality of the character is without any ambiguity. So either the narrator or some other voice tells us in the actual narration, right? So she suddenly felt frightened, for human forms frightened her more than any others, right? Then this is coming from in camera. What do we know? That Liala is frightened. There's no ambiguity. There's nothing to discuss. She felt frightened, right? So with here, right, the narrator specifically relates Leela's feelings without any kind of ambiguity or subtext to them at all, right? Same thing here, right? We get Laura loved having to arrange things. She always felt she could do it so much better than anybody else, right? So here, again, more direct, right? Especially with this part, it's kind of important, right? So she felt we're getting a direct characterization that she felt she could do it so much better than anybody else, right? We know what that reveals about her personality without any ambiguity. So Mansfield has the narrator directly tell the audience what Laura enjoys and how she thinks about herself without any subtext or indirect meaning, right? There's no way we could debate this, right? She felt that she could do it better than anybody else. What does that mean? Well, exactly what it states. That's the direct characterization. So anytime there's really no room for ambiguity, that's where we're talking about direct characterizations. The opposite is that indirect, where there is room for ambiguity, there is room for interpretation, and so forth. So here, right, it shows the aspects that reveal the personality of the character that need to be inferred, and that's the important aspect. These traits are based on inference. There are 5 different methods of indirect or implicit characterization: speech, thought, or sometimes feelings, but not things like this, right? Effect on other characters, actions, and then looks, right? So when we talk about speech, what does the character say? How does the character speak? And part of these aspects I put on the foil character, but I didn't define specifically. And this is what you were pretty much doing when we were looking at the foil character as well, beyond just comparing the similarities and differences of the foil characters. What is revealed to the character's private thoughts? And that's really the difference, right? If they're private feelings and so forth. What is revealed through the character's effect on other people, right? How do other characters feel and behave? And notice how we've already talked a little bit about this when we think about, Liala's mother and so forth. But again, it's an important, actually specific form of characterization. What do the characters do, right? How do the characters behave? And then, of course, what do the characters look like? And so we have here, right, a good example of indirect characterization. He had told her bitterly, "Politics, my girl, is not for women and girls," but she had not listened to him. We have a good layer of indirect characterization here, right? So through the speech, right, of Leela's father, right, Zawadawai reveals his conservative and patriarchal character. And then through Leela's actions of not listening to him, right, she reveals Leela's rebellious nature. So again, there's ambiguity here. We could talk about, okay, what does it mean that she had not listened to him? Is she stubborn? Is she rebellious? What is the reason behind her not listening to him? Same thing here. What does this mean, right? He states this. Is he sincere? And of course we know he's sincere, but what is the meaning now of this line of dialogue? Now we get into the idea of indirect characterization. We now have to infer what the meaning of these characters are based on speech and, of course, action in this case. And so, again, it's just a good way of figuring out how authors create characters. We'll have an assignment assigned to um, people per kind of character. So just kind of pay attention to the instructions. If you have any questions, keep posting them to the forum. If not, good luck with all the assignments and take care.